Hello, everyone. Well, it's been another week. It's been more than a week since I made my last video, and the Festival of the Maiden is officially over, and now we're back to business, right? We're back to political commentary. And yes, I did go to No King's Day. I went to No King's Day on No King's Day. It was on a Saturday, bright, sunny, cloudy day. Well, it was sunny later and cloudy to begin with, but it was chilly and started the day trying to keep my hands warm and dancing from foot to foot. And I'll tell you, the whole No King's Day, I I couldn't go through the whole thing. I couldn't go through the whole thing because I'll be honest with you. I can be totally honest, perfectly honest with you. I couldn't stand on my feet a moment longer, so I had to leave right in the middle of the big speeches. And I got there early, and I got to be part of the parade on No King's Day. We had a parade to the to the uh, to the Capitol building. We had a parade to the Capitol, and I joined the parade. I joined the parade. So I was in the parade. Not prayed like praying, parade. Parade. So I joined the parade and um, was in got in a group with some other um, protesters. I got into a group with some other protesters on No King's Day. And they weren't counter protesters, they were the original No Kings. Just to make that perfectly abundantly clear that I wasn't with the counter protesters, I was with the original protesters. And do you remember what I said that if to protest what Trump was doing, to protest what Trump is doing, that I would have to be protesting shoulder to shoulder with communists and socialists. Well, it came true. We were just standing behind. At least I was. Yeah, we were standing behind the Communist Party banner. So there's a huge banner was a huge red banner because red is the color of communism, right? And on either end there were two young men carrying the Communist Party banner. And um, so I was shoulder to shoulder with communists and socialists. And there was a woman in our group who didn't see this Communist Party banner because we're standing behind it, so she couldn't see the print clearly, right? So um, there was another group just right next to the communists with a flag. They were waving a flag in the air that said "Community Party." Community Party. So um, this woman that I was speaking to, let's call her Heidi for I don't have another name for her. So she got really worked up because a guy came up to her and said, um, "Is is that the Communist Party?" And she said, "No, it's the Community Party. Can't you read?" And she pointed to the flag and said, "It's the Community Party. Now go away." And she was venting to us, saying he had a lot of nerve. How dare he say that it was the Communist Party? How dare he say it was the Communist Party? It was the Community Party. And she went on and on and on. She was so intense. in her annoyance at this man, and she thought he was so rude. And then someone in our group pointed to the banner. You could read the word communist backwards through the banner because it was a see-through-ish banner. And she said, look, it says Communist Party on that banner there. So the man was right. There really was the Communist Party. And Heidi made a mistake. But she was incensed. She was so angry. And she was older than me, maybe by a couple decades. But Heidi was really nice. She let me sit down in her chair. She brought a chair with her, and I got to sit in the chair part of the time. But I really, honestly, I just couldn't stand on my feet anymore. By the time Bernie Sanders came up to speak, I had to leave because I couldn't stand on my feet, and I wanted to be sure that I got home. There was one seat left for me to sit down on the bus home, so I got one seat. There was just one seat left, and I took it, and I was able to get home. But people had such a problem getting on and off that bus that they were packed in like sardines, and they said that at least 100,000 people, maybe up to 200,000 people showed up for the rally. And it's a No Kings rally, right? But as far as the business of the day goes, they were talking about, like Trump and so on. There were some interesting characters at this No Kings rally. There was a two gray kings running around. They were gray and they were kings, and they were dancing around, hopping around in their costumes. And then there was a person in an inflatable costume, and the inflatable costume was Trump in a diaper. Naked Trump and orange all over in a diaper, and really made him look fat because it was an inflatable. Yeah, it was, there were some interesting signs too. A lot of them talked about the Epstein files. And I'm glad that people talked about that because it needs to be spoken of more often. More people need to pay attention to the Epstein files. Nobody had forgotten the Epstein files in this group. None of them had forgotten. Like somebody had a sign that said, touch the grass, not the children. Yeah, there were some pretty explicit signs at this rally, and yeah, they got really explicit, and they hadn't forgotten the Epstein files. It was top of mind for a lot of the people going there. And I know that there were some people that came just to hear Bruce Springsteen play. Because after Bruce Springsteen's singing part was over, people began leaving in droves. And by the time Bernie Sanders had gotten to the middle of his speech, it seems like half the crowd was leaving. And I would have stayed to listen. I really would have. But I couldn't stand on my feet any longer, and I had to leave. Besides, Bernie Sanders, as you may know, leaves me cold. I don't want a communist or a socialist Democrat for president, and I don't want a fascist dictator for president. Is that too much to ask? Do I really have to choose between socialism, democratic socialism, or communism and fascism and dictatorship? I don't think so. I don't think I should have to make a choice like that because I'm an American and I belong to the center. I'm a centrist or a moderate, however you want to put it. And I'd reject some of the premises of the Libertarian Party because they do not admit they do not admit that that some of their policies, like for example, the ultra wealthy in this country are able to get even wealthier. The ultra rich are able to get even wealthier by employing tactics like uh, um, corporate welfare. Corporate welfare is a term that indicates that a corporation is being subsidized by the government in whatever way. Either they don't pay their fair share of taxes, which is one way, or they get special subsidies from the government. They get moolah, money, to run their operations from the federal government because they're an employer, right? So they're hoping that they'll employ more personnel and that the employees will get the money indirectly through the corporations. And so this corporate welfare has been going on for a really long time, and they have all sorts of tax loopholes too. And they address Congress. These corporate moguls address Congress, and they want special incentives. They want special incentives, and they want special treatment. So of course they're going to lobby Congress. They lobby Congress. They address the president. They ask for all of these favors, and they get them. So corporate welfare is a great evil, and the libertarians don't even recognize this corporate welfare that's been going on. They just say everybody deserves to have no taxes, including the ultra rich, and everybody's equal. But they're not equal because the ultra rich get special privileges. So how can they be equal? How can they be equal when they get special privileges? So they should have more tax anyway. The ultra rich should have more tax because they get more benefits and more of everything. They get special treatment. So I think the basic bottom line is that we don't want the ultra wealthy to go around tax free, okay? And we don't want the ultra wealthy to pay low taxes. They should pay their fair share, but probably more than their fair share is what they should pay. And they shouldn't have corporate welfare. But on the same token, we don't want to go totally public. We don't want the government owning businesses, okay? We don't want the government owning businesses or administrating businesses. And we don't want a communist society. And we don't want brutal suppression of protesters and voters. And that looks like it's going to happen from both ends. Whatever way we choose, we're going to get rear-ended. Because Trump already has said that he's going to have a national registry of voters. And it's going to be a federal registry of voters. And once there's a registry of voters and it's federal and the states aren't in charge anymore, it's the federal government that's in charge. Once this centrism, I don't know if it's centrism or not, but once this conglomeration of power takes effect, we won't have any more voting freedoms because they'll be able to look at our votes and see how we voted. And that isn't right. They should not keep records of who voted which way. That isn't right. And Trump's trying to do this right now. So he is approaching the level of fascist dictatorship. And it is not American. It is not American. America is supposed to be a free country. We're the land of the free, right? We're the land of the free and the home of the brave. And have we should not have a federal voter registration and have a federal list of who voted which way and who voted in general. We should not have that. That is a great mistake. And the SAVE Act that he's trying to pass would do that in addition to other things such as eliminating mail-in voting, which is bad for abuse victims, among other things. And so I don't know what to say, folks. I don't know what to tell you. It's a bad situation we're in. We're in a really tight spot, a difficult spot now. So it was worth going to the Snow Kings rally. It was totally worth it because we need to speak up before our voices are silenced forever. And this can happen. It can happen where a country is divided right down the middle. And both ends of the spectrum are becoming more extreme. People move toward the ends of the spectrum instead of being in the middle, in the center. Yeah, I guess a centrist is somebody who's in the center, but going to move toward the middle, or are we going to move toward the extremes? So far, people are moving toward the extremes. And the middle has been forgotten, mainly. And so we have to maintain our political independence. We can't have leaders that are extremists, that are spoon feeding us, and we have no control of the direction that these parties are moving in. We have to have a decentralization of power. It's the centralization of power that is the real villain, is centralization of power, concentrating the power in the federal government, paving over everyone else. That's a true path to dictatorship. And it's neither traditional American conservatism, nor is it traditional American democracy. It is neither one. It is the centralization of power is a great ill. And it looks like both parties are pushing for it, but they are only pushing for it for their side. And their side doesn't seem to be ideologically rooted in anything except for dictatorship. So we need to stay sharp and to make sure that a dictatorship does not take root in America. So I hope you guys had a terrific Festival of the Maiden. And the Maiden Goddess wants nothing more than for the victims of child sexual abuse and child abuse to get justice. The Maiden wants justice for the children. And I think the rest of us want justice for the children too. So that's it. You guys have a terrific week. And I'll see you next time.